Hi, Joe Cerrone. Welcome to our Zoom video meeting for CAD 230, Introduction to Solidworks. Today's July 14th. And as we look at the upcoming events, we have Module 6 and Module 8 due at 11:30 p.m. tonight. You'll notice there's no 7. 7 was the midterm, and we didn't take the midterm. There's just not enough time. So as we continue on, Module 9 and 10 are due next week, and we will then make the final exam available next week as well. So as we look at things, today's the 14th, and then next week, Module 9 and 10 are due, and we'll also activate the final exam next week so that you'll have more than enough time. And you might say, well, hey, what's the final exam like? Well, the final exam, I just pulled one from last semester, will be like this. And what I decided to do was to give you my final exam. And then if you want to take the CSWA afterwards, you can do that because it just seems kind of rushed. So here's the CAD 230 final exam. You'll model the parts and you'll set the properties for each of the different materials. And so there will be one assembly drawing in which you'll do the same, where you'll model the parts and then you'll do a bottom-up assembly. There's also a multiple choice component to the final exam. And if you go under quizzes and exams, there is a practice final. And so we have a final exam that will be given using Honor Lock, and I'll put that in the main splash page and talk about that tomorrow. The date's got to be updated, don't pay any attention to that. And then there's a final practice exam, multiple choice. And I recommend you take this. This is what we're going to use for the final exam. It's going to be done with Honor Lock, and it's just going to be the multiple choice part. As much as we could do the drawings and make it this big exam, I really just like to use the final exams as a way to verify that people are who they say they are, and that way I meet the requirements of the college without getting really carried away. And so these are questions from the end of the chapters. There's a lot of them, so you might want to go through and take this this exam a few times. There's 100 of them, and that is now available now. And so under quizzes and exams, you have the final practice exam. I showed you the final exam. It's going to consist of an exam very much like the practice exam, and then hands-on drawings like these shown here. All right, with that, then let's segue back into what else is being worked on, or our work in progress. Back to the main splash page here. So Module 9 is on assembly drawings, and I had to update this because it was incomplete. So I pulled in the content from last semester. If we go under content, I would like you to take a pretest, and the pretest is really for assessment data. I've always got to do these reports that tell them up in the management office to keep continuing to fund the program. And to do that, I give them data, and the data is, students take these tests and they're learning. So here's the pretest, take it. It's not going to count against you. Don't even try to do well on it, because you're going to take a post test, and then if you do better on the post test than you did on the pretest, that means you've learned something, and I supplied the data proving the assessment is working. But if you do want to try really hard, that's okay too. As you go down through it, we're going to look at these bottom-up assemblies. The components for lab number 9, A and B and C are here. You can download them. And there is a part in the book that asks you for this T-joint, which wasn't in the previous chapters to model it. Sorry, my voice is breaking up here. Let me pause for a second. So you can download these different components. So for example, if you need the parts for the gate assembly, you can download those, open the file, extract the components, and then you can follow the textbook curriculum. We don't have a video for this one. But as you go and you start with these different components and create the assembly model. Other components that we do have are this T-joint. You know, this is the assembly model that we were working on for 9. And then we have another one, 9B. And I used to think that there's like one more part in this, and you can see it's not quite there yet as we start to work with our mates in our assemblies. And when you start to learn how to do assembly modeling, a lot of it is very much like putting things together with Lego. And so I'm going to pause the recording one more second. So as we start to work with these different mates and we start to put these different components together, essentially we're taking away different degrees of freedom to create these different movements. And so there's some good content in module 9 showing you how to go through and create those parts. We look at the video for 9A. We go through and show you how to put those components together. The T-joint is there, it is available. Just take a look in the module 9 area. And so as you put these together, it is kind of like virtual Lego. And my son and I really enjoy Lego. And you can kind of get into that where you start to put these different assemblies together. And as you learn how they go together, you'll learn how to do different mates. But it takes a while to get the hang of it. Another thing that you want to do when you create these drawings is you want to save them with Pack and Go, like it says here in the video. Sorry, I don't know why it's showing on my YouTube history. But as we go into it, use Pack and Go to save them as a compressed zip file. And if you save them as a zip file, when you turn them into the assignments folder, then the links don't get broken. And when the links get broken, then I'm not able to put the assembly together. It just fails to load. So that's 9A, that's the video. And then if we come back here, we have the 9B video right here, showing how to create that. And then Lab 10. And again, I redid Lab 10. We needed to have a couple more videos that were added to that. I'm going to pause. So we have the video for Lab 10B. And then as we start to look at course wrap-up procedures, what I talked about in the beginning of today's video was the final exam. And the final exam essentially is going to be 2 parts. One part is going to be these drawings right here. And you're going to create these different drawings, and you're going to set a material property for that part. And then you'll define the mass and the volume. And we'll go over that, how to take that exam next week. But they're fairly straightforward part models and one assembly model. If you do want to take the CSWA, just let me know and I'll give you the voucher. I just think that we're kind of tight on time. All right, so that's the final module. And then again, make sure that you take the pretest for assembly drawing. It's just used for assessment data. It doesn't count against you. Also, again, under quizzes and exams, I have a practice final exam The final exam will go, and we'll start that next week. You can take the practice final exam, which is basically multiple choice, as many times as you'd like. There's a lot of questions. If I look at it one more time, there's about 100 questions. And basically, we'll be taking an exam very similar to this for the final using Honor Lock. And Honor Lock is a proctoring service so that I can verify everybody in the class is who they say they are. Okay, with that, I'm going to stop the recording and open things up for questions.